Well, hello everyone. Good morning. This is Lawrence making a video this morning. Another sip of my coffee and I get rolling. My morning morphine, my morning addiction. Um, I've had in my mind. I got my cat down here, so if it shakes a little bit, the cat has bumped into the laptop stand, which is wobbly. I've been wanting to make some videos, some ideas I had in my mind, and this is one of them. And today's topic is um, studio album versus live shows. Because I've noticed in recent times, especially where artists can't make as much money or very little money with the sales of the physical sales of their music. It's not like back in the day an artist would, reach a popularity and selling a lot of albums and, of their music, that they reach a big deal with a record company and they sign for $40 million for, you know, 4 albums in the next, 5 years. You always heard about those type of deals, but I think the last big one was REM in the late '90s. Yeah, these days the physical sales of music has really changed, has basically collapsed because music is free now on the internet, and so artists have to do live shows to make money, which is fine, but in a way kind of a shame because um, I feel very strongly about the physical sales of music, and I think it kind of diminishes the art of the album itself. Okay, I've heard it said that it used to be that you would tour to promote an album, but now it's sort of like you release an album to promote a tour. So it's kind of been reversed. Um, and I think the art of album making has been somewhat diminished because of that. Um, great albums are still being made, and there are artists who really pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into making great albums. And I'm going to do a separate video where I'm going to select about 5 albums of newer artists who've released great albums. But so that's still going on, but they don't sell as much, and they have to go on the road to make the money and all that. And also, some veteran artists have they become oldies acts. Some veterans artists such as Elton John, Paul McCartney, Paul Simon, Bruce Springsteen, to mention some, are still making great music. But people who go to their shows want to hear the material they're familiar with, and when those artists try to present a new material, they go right straight to the concession stand to get the beer, to use the bathroom, and all that. It's a shame. Uh, I've always liked the idea of following an artist as they're creating their body of work, and perhaps catching a show or two during that time. I hate the idea of just seeing a veteran artist and primarily they're going to play their familiar material, which I heard on the radio a zillion times, and ticket prices to these shows are just ridiculous. So I don't go to concerts of veteran artists because of the prices and because it's an oldie show. Paul McCartney, he may play two or three songs from his new album, Egypt Station, but it's primarily, his back catalog. So, I am more an album listener. Okay, now back in when I was young, on up to in my 40s and in early 50s, I went to a lot of shows. I mean, when I was a teenager, the thing to do was to go to a concert. And let me reach up for this right here. I want to show you something. I saved all my concert ticket stubs and placed them in a frame, but the glass broke, and I'm in the process of reestablishing it. But there you go. Many of my tickets to shows. I even got one right there of Lucinda Williams, and she autographed a ticket stub. So let me put this back because it's broken glass, and I don't want myself to get hurt. So I'm reestablishing that, and we'll hang it back on the wall. But, hey, the thing to do when you were teenagers was go to concerts, go to shows with your friends, hang out, sneak some alcoholic beverages in. One time my friend and I, we snuck a bottle of Mad Dog into a Bowie show. That was so cool. So anyway, so I've been to many shows that varies in venues from small to large. I've seen the Stones like 9 times, and from a 10,000 seater on up to the stadiums, and live shows for the veterans acts. Now you got the big screens, so you could see the artists, and the sound system's incredible and all that, but you're going to pay for that. Today, I may average out about one concert a year, and the shows I like to go to now are up and coming artists at smaller venues. I see Rihanna Giddens, the folk traditional artist, at a place called the Addicts Theater, which is a 800 seater, and she had her she was great. She had her band and all that, and the sound system was great, and it was intimate. And you had an audience that was very attentive to listening to the music. Okay, I went to see Valerie June over a year ago. Valerie June, her music has been described as organic moonshine. It's very based in traditional country and folk music, but it has like a kind of a space age to it. And some blues and bluegrass elements. And so I saw that show in a 300-seat theater. Okay, it was new, but the theater was set up more like a college lecture hall, where the groups of seats were slanted down like that, so you didn't see someone's head in front of you. And this show, she was doing an acoustic solo show, so she came out, and it felt very intimate, like we were invited to her house or kitchen, and she's cooking us a meal, and she's just singing her songs and talking with the audience, and some people shouted things back to her, so it was a nice back and forth. So those are the shows I like to go to now. Okay. back to um, studio albums versus live shows, and I like I said, I feel like the emphasis is on live shows now, not the studio albums. And when an artist comes out with a new album, when I see it on the internet and on YouTube, people will post, "Whoa, I can't wait to see them live." You know, I always had the not always, but more recent years, had the thought of, okay, just give me a great album. Just give me a great album. I love the album because you can listen to it anytime. Um, a live show you go to once, or if there's a live album or that, or, you can see it again or hear it again, or clips from YouTube, whatever. But a studio album is like a piece of artwork. It's like a painting. Okay, that's what I like, and it's the album to me is always like the main course, where a live show is like a dessert or maybe the appetizer. Okay, I want it's the studio albums that the live shows should be built on. And then, of course, I know songs they're recorded in studio and they kind of revolve live too. But to me, the studio albums, like you see on the wall there, the Who's Next, Band on the Run, Rumors, Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, those are masterful studio works, and that's what I like, and we're kind of getting away from that. So that's my main point. Now, concerts, like I said, I go to few of them, up and coming artists, smaller venues, and it's sort of like, okay, you give me a great album, I love it. You don't have to haul your equipment around the country and to my town to play the album in front of me. That may sound a little cynical, but that's kind of my attitude. Just go back to the studio and create the next masterpiece. And David Bowie, after a long absence of touring and putting out new music, did return to do two great albums, and I love them. Okay, and had he lived, I think his days of big tours were over. That I think he was just going to be a studio visual artist. Okay, why would he have to tour? He's doesn't need the money. Um, he was in a fabulous marriage with a daughter, so he's attending to that personal life, but he still had the need to um, artistic sense express himself and to present his work. That's great. A studio artist, I love. The Beatles, and for a time, Steely Dan and Pink Floyd stopped touring and just focused on studio work. And of course, we got Sergeant Pepper's Magical Mystery Tour, the White Album, Abbey Road, really in-depth studio work. We got Steely Dan's Asia, and the Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here, The Wall. So I'm very much into the studio side. Okay, a cool way is you could see a concerts now in the comfort of your own home, and I brought out some DVDs. The Eagles concert live from Australia. This was $9.97 at Walmart. Okay, and it contained like 30 songs here, and you can pop it into and have it on your flat screen TV with a killer sound system, best seat in the house. The Eagles is one of the groups live. They sound exactly like their recordings. They don't go off script at all. If I was in the other room, somebody put this on, I would think I would be listening to their studio albums. So this is great, and you got the bonus features as well, and you get to see the group up close, and so that's great. I got some more here. Paul McCartney back in the USA. Another Paul McCartney concert. Elton John. This is a cool box set which I got for a Christmas present, where Elton performs at Madison Square Gardens, London, a few other places in different settings. So this is really cool. And U2 live from Boston. So that's part of my collection. It's nice to just kick back, relax, in comfort of your own home, pop in one of these big screen TVs, killer sound system, and just relax. You don't have to worry about going out and the parking and all that. Also, rude concert goers. Okay, now when I was a teenager, we were all rude and and all that, and in your face. And the concerts, my teen years, were like the stadium standing floor concert where you were packed in with sardines, and that was cool. You didn't mind that when you were young, but you get older. Oh, I want to sit down and all that. I went to see Alabama Shakes a few years ago at a amphitheater. Okay, they had grass seatings. Okay, and the when you went in, they checked your lawn chairs for the grass seating to make sure they didn't go over a certain height so you don't block view. And they actually had tape measure. Well, I had a seat in the seating part, the amphitheater seating part, and it kind of slanted down, very nice. But the rude concert goers, they were standing up. They didn't have to. Because the seats slant, and that really irritated me because I paid good money for the seat, but to have people standing up in front of me really irritated me. And I wish the venue, I'm going to contact them on this, it had enforced people to sit down in their seats. There's a couple ways they could have done that. And I had a couple in front of me or side of me who were stood up and dancing and all that. I didn't come here to see you dance. I'm coming here to listen to the band. I am more of a, when I go to concerts now, more of a listener than, I want to groove and all that. Also, I don't have the attitude, oh, you got to be there, the people, where unity is one with the flow of the music, I'm not into that kind of cosmic thing as well. I'm a listener. Now, in the era of jazz, the 1930s and 40s, in New York, they had clubs where, it was dining and dancing and all that, but they had after-hour clubs, what they call listening clubs, where people, patrons would go in there and they're more interested in listening to the music. And this is where the artist could really improvise and go off script and just really take it another dimension. And a lot of the talent scouts would go to these clubs as well. So I'm more into that kind of mode. We're running almost 20 minutes, so I keep it 25. Now, there has, I'm not totally dismissing live shows. It has its use and place, and there's been a number of classic live albums right here. Stones, Get Your Ya-Ya's Out, and of course, if you were a teenager growing up in the 70s, this album was practically issued to you. And then in the 70s and 80s, you know, every band that made it to platinum status, there was the standard issue of the double live album or single live album, is this album here from Kansas. So, you know, it has its place, I admit, and, you know, songs do revolve into something else, live versions, and, you know, that's cool, but I'm just more into the smaller venue. Now, I got my notes here, so I didn't want to miss anything. Okay, live versus studio album. I think we covered that. Attending live shows, past and present. Um, Promote live album. Yeah. Before, in the past, live tours were used to promote, you know, album releases or CDs. Now it's backwards. CDs and you know, albums are used to promote tours. Oldies acts for veterans, we cover that. The sound systems, rude concert goers, smaller show venues. Okay. Oh yes, of course the money is in touring now. And if I was an artist, Rick Ocasek of the Cars, he hated touring. He hated it, and I don't blame him because, you know, boy, I just want to create this great music in the studio and then, you know, put it out and go on to the next studio project. But damn it, I've got to tour. I got to take airplane flights, hotels, and it's tiring, and then put on a spectacular show at night. So I can understand that. Eric Clapton, who recently is winding down his tours, one due to health problems, and two, he said he just doesn't like the logistics of the traveling and all that. Okay. Okay, I think I got it all covered here in my notes when I made this video. So, what do y'all think? You know, hey, leave your comments. Leave your comments. I know that there's bands like the Grateful Dead, although they released tremendous, great studio albums, their bread and butter was touring, you know, along with many other groups. So, you know, touring versus albums. I just feel like with the more emphasis on touring these days, the art of the album is getting overlooked. So that's it. We're running on 25 minutes now, and I think I've run my mouth enough. My next video, I'm going to pull 5 albums out by new artists and just go over those. I believe in supporting new artists who are worthy, and the ones I like are not so much in the mainstream, you know. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please have a good day. Bye-bye.